And so Jesus is leaving Jericho now, and he's on the road going to the Mount of Olives, and he told this one parable that we know of in 11 through 27. But, you know, on a 15-mile walk, I mean, you know, you're going to have a pretty good bit of time. I mean, if you walked at 3 miles an hour, which you're not going to from Jericho to Jerusalem, because as I read about it, it's like a 3,400 feet change in elevation. So you're not going to be walking 3 miles an hour probably, which is a pretty brisk pace. So they're probably a couple of hours at least walking. And Jesus, you know, he's talking, he's telling stories, they're all talking. Now as they heard these things, verse 11, he spoke another parable to them. So he's already told them a couple of stories. And because he was near Jerusalem, and because they thought the kingdom of God would appear immediately, and therefore he said, so here's the story. A certain nobleman, that would be Jesus, went into a far country, that would be the earth, to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. Now that kingdom, I will tell you right near the beginning, that kingdom is God's family. It's Romans chapter 8, verse 15. For we've not received a spirit of fear leading unto slavery, but we've received a spirit of adoption, whereby we cry out, Abba, Father. The only reason you're here is to join God's family. You ever heard anybody say, why am I here? Why am I on planet Earth? What's the purpose? I get up, I get a shower, I go to work, I come home, I eat supper, and do whatever, go to bed, get up, do it again. What's the purpose of life? What's the point? The purpose is to join God's family. It's to join God's family, to be in his family. And that's the kingdom that he's talking about here. To receive for himself a kingdom and to return, go back to heaven. And so he called 10 of his servants and he delivered to them 10 minas. So a mina is 100 days' wages. So each one got 100 days' wages, 100 denarii. And he said to them, do business till I come. Now, the gifts that you've been given are what? You might say, well, Jesus didn't give me 100 days worth of money. You know, he didn't give me that. No, he gave you a gift better than that. He gave you life. He gave you life. You're alive because of Jesus. You can live. You can walk. You can think. You can love. You can hate. You're alive. You can choose. You can choose. That's the gift that we've been given. And he said, do business with this gift until I come. But his citizens hated him and sent a delegation after him, saying, we will not have this man reign over us. And those are the two groups on planet Earth, those who love Jesus and those who hate Jesus. And in verse 15, and so it was that when he returned, having received the kingdom, he then commanded these servants to whom he had given the money. So having received the kingdom, that tells me it's Judgment Day. This is Judgment Day. This is a picture of Judgment Day. Then he commanded these servants to whom he had given them to be called to him, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading, or what we did with the gift that we had been given. We've been given the gift of life. What do we do with that gift? What do we do with it? And then came the first one saying, Master, your mina has earned 10 minas, 10 times. Your 100 denarii is now 1,000 denarii. And he said to him, well done, good servant, because you were faithful in a very little, have authority over 10 cities. Have authority over 10 cities. And then the second one came saying, Master, your mina has earned 5 minas. Now what I take away from that is here's a person who's saved, but they didn't work as hard as the first person. You know, Hebrews 11:6 says he's a rewarder of those who diligently serve him. So this second guy, he didn't serve him as much as the first guy did serve him. But he did serve him. And he says, your mina has earned 5 minas. And likewise he said to him, you also be over 5 cities. And then another came saying, Master, here's your mina, which I have kept put away in a handkerchief, for I feared you, because you are an austere man, and you collect what you did not deposit, and you reap what you didn't sow. So here was a guy who did nothing with the gift that God had given him. He did nothing with it. He said, here's the gift back. You gave me 10 minas. Here's your 10 minas back. Now leave me alone. That's basically what he was saying. And he said to him, out of your own mouth, Jesus said to him, or the nobleman, out of your own mouth I will judge you, you wicked servant. You knew that I was an austere man, collecting what I did not deposit and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money in the bank, that at my coming I might have collected it with interest? Why didn't you do something? Why didn't you come down and make a profession of faith? Why didn't you get baptized, even if you're not going to do anything else? Why didn't you do something? Some little bit of faith. Verse 24. And he said to those who stood by, take the mina from him and give it to him who has 10 minas. But they said to him, Master, he has 10 minas. For I say to you that to everyone who has will be given, and from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. But bring here those enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them, and slay them before me. And that's exactly what's going to happen in Revelation 20, verse 15. If anyone's name was not found written in the Lamb's Book of Life, he was cast into the lake of fire. So what do we see from this parable? We see the purpose of life, and it's to choose our destiny, to choose our final destiny. And then the question is have you said, Jesus, you're not going to be over me. You're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to rule me. Or are you a friend of Jesus? And have you taken the gifts that Jesus has given you, and are you doing something with them? And so if you're a friend of Jesus, if you really are a friend of Jesus, you will love him and you will obey him.